Well, he was no Boy Scout for sure, but Mike Austin certainly left a legacy or a blueprint, if you will, of how to hit it long and straight. He called his swing the most efficient way you could hit a golf ball. But are there any living embodiments of Mike Austin's technique today in golf, on tour? Well, stick around. I'm going to bring up to you a few great examples of swings of people who are currently in their prime that you should be swinging more like. So stay tuned. Hey, this is Steve with HitItLonger.com. As you know, I'm on a journey, never a destination, always a journey, to try to improve, hit it longer and straighter off the tee. If you agree that's a fun way to play and you'd like to get more distance, maybe knock a few extra birdie putts in this year, then by all means, hit the subscribe button. Join us. Like this video at the end if you got some benefit, and of course, as always, leave a comment down below, especially if you have a question. Oh, and don't forget, if you're getting some benefit out of these videos and you'd like to get a little more help, I can be your personal coach via online video. Just go over to hititlonger.com, click on the swing analysis tab, and that way you can submit a video to me. I'll do some special treatment on it with some software, and I'll send it back to you, hopefully pushing you in the right direction with a few good tips. All right, so who are a few good examples of golfers playing today in their prime that use kind of an Austin style of swing? Well, on tour, I don't think you're going to see anybody using his pivot at the moment. It's just still not in vogue. But release-wise, I think if you were to look to people like Dustin Johnson or on the senior tour, Fred Couples, I think you're going to see some of the freest, earliest releases that you're going to see. Of course, Fred Couples in his prime in the mid-'80s was equally long, if not longer, than Dustin Johnson currently is. Fred could hit it an absolute mile when he wanted to. His body was just that much of a bullwhip. But I would say the two highlights that show you that they are releasing it very freely are right here, just after impact, when you're going to start to see this right wrist has already moved into flexion, where other golfers may have maybe holding it in slight extension or flat. They're going into this cupped wrist just past impact. That's one of the signals that they're using a very free releasing style, throwing from the top of the swing and not impeding it. I think the other signal you're going to see with a golfer like those two examples is releasing it very freely is when you see a 90-degree angle here when the right forearm reaches 2 o'clock on the clock, and you see a 90-degree or right angle between the club shaft and the forearm. If people are impeding that, not releasing super free, they're going to have more of a straight line or less than a 90-degree angle at that point. So those are two great things to look for. All right, so another golfer that I think shows a lot of the facets that Mike Austin promoted. We showed him the other day in a video. His name is Drew Cooper. He's not on tour. He's relatively unknown. In fact, I don't even know if he's a professional. He might even be an amateur. But his swing is just super impressive. It's one of the greatest swings I've ever seen in terms of creating easy, effortless looking speed. The video that you're watching on a loop right now, last week I said, hey, would you like this 140 mile an hour swing? Well, this swing was actually 148 miles an hour. So he's getting into the upper echelons of all long drivers in the world, and he doesn't even do long drive. But not only that, this 148, you would agree with me, is so effortless looking, so fluid, so rhythmic. It's just absolutely a sensational swing for you to just loop, watch over and over again, and just kind of try to copy. So to mention just a few things that Drew's doing that not a lot of people out there are doing to hit the ball far, is he's actually doing it out of a reasonably narrow stance, and I think this actually promotes efficient speed rather than brute force speed. Another thing is that he has a little bit of a forward press here in the handle, little forward lean of the club before he takes it back, and he moves in the takeaway right into a Nice little small lateral shift of the right hip and the spine, just like this early on. He doesn't take it as far as Austin, of course, but it certainly ends up putting his center of his pelvis behind the center line. Unlike a lot of golfers you see today, when we lay a stick down here in the middle of the stance and we see them, it looks like the center of their pelvis is actually on this side of the line, and I would contend that you would not be able to get as much ground forces, therefore rotation and speed out of it. And I think what Drew is doing to get wound up a little bit more with his pelvis moving this way going back is a real boon to his ability to swing fast but fluidly and effortlessly. Now coming back into the ball, you can see how Drew has really posted onto that left leg. He's turning around a posted leg, and that's setting him up for an extremely free release. He's simply not getting in his own way. He's starting to throw from back here. You're seeing it on the video as he comes down into impact. What you're seeing is the response. He's already relaxed. He's actually not pushing anymore on the handle. It's more freewheeling at that point, but it gives you the impression that it's so effortless and relaxed when he swings despite this high speed. And of course, another great measure is going to be this 2 o'clock right arm position. If a golfer's got the club whipping around the forearm like that, you know that they haven't gotten in the way of the progress of the club head. They've really accelerated it and gotten the hell out of the way, kind of like pushing a small child on a swing. You give them their burst of energy, but then you don't run along with them and hold on to them to negate the energy you just put into it. You burst and then they freewheel the rest of the swing. That's kind of the way a golf swing works too. We get a big burst that peaks right about here, and then it really dives back down to freewheel relaxation at the ball. Let's move over to women, and don't turn off just because I said women. You're gonna be amazed at this golf swing. Again, one of the greatest golf swings I've seen in a while. She's relatively new to women's long drive, but she's already starting to win events, and her numbers are really staggering. Her name is Kanani Lodge. I hope I'm saying that right. I apologize if I didn't, but just look at the swing she's showing. I'm watching her video. She's peaking now at clubhead speeds as high as 124 miles an hour. So she's swinging as fast or faster as any woman who has ever competed in long drive before has ever swung, and she makes it look smooth and effortless, similar to Drew. Now from the down the line angle, what I want you to see is that she's really the embodiment of the Mike Austin under and up principle, and it just shows you how far from the inside that swing needs to look like to account for the upward strike. So if we were to pause her swing, you see she's incredibly shallow. Yeah, she's a little bit flat at the top of the swing, but this is just setting up for this incredibly shallow approach into the ball where her club is approaching way from the inside. Now that's just her swing plane. Yes, certainly her swing plane is very far to the right, maybe 8 or 9 degrees. But when you account for the fact that she's now starting to hit it on the way up this way, the club is squaring up with the target line at that point, so her actual path is pretty straight. You can see this golf ball that she's hitting down the grid from the down the line view is not starting rightwards. It is not an inside out path at the moment of impact. It is a fairly straight path with an enormous upward strike. You can almost see that the motion resembles a topspin forehand in tennis because of this. And this is going to give a golfer extremely high launch with extremely low spin, and that is 2 enormous factors on how far you're going to hit the golf ball and whether you're going to squeeze everything out of your club head speed. All right, so 2 of my takeaways from these swings that I can use on my journey, and I hope you'll find some value and some tips in watching these two swing over and over and over again. But my two takeaways are, I would love to have the rhythm and unhurried tempo of Drew, and I would love to have a little more of the shallow and rounded swing plane of Kanani. That's the direction that my practice is going to be heading in the next few months. What about you? What do you take away from these two amazing swings? Leave it in the comments below. So hey, I hope you'll continue the swing journey along with me as we strive to get better, longer, straighter, more consistent. I'm Steve. Thanks a lot for watching. I'm coming to you from Moorpark, California. And as always, hey, I'll either see you in the next video or I'll see you longer and straighter down the fairway. Take good care, everybody.